Call to order Town Council meeting of Monday, March 24th, 2025. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Jennifer Clock.
Here.
Michael Del Santo.
Present.
Valerie DiPaolo. Here. William Dietzick.
Here.
James Morelli.
Here.
Tony Morrison.
Here.
Christopher Palmieri.
Here.
Jack Perry.
Here.
Paul Chaplinsky.
Here, we have a quorum. Can everybody please stand for the prayer and the flag salute, followed by a moment of silence?
Heavenly Father, give us the ability this night to see past what is first apparent and into the very heart of issues that are presented. Keep us open and willing to hear the concerns of the people of this community, and give us the courage to act upon those things which are best for Southington. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you can please stay standing. This week we lost a longtime Southington resident, Jerry Maselli, who was a United States Army veteran, fought in the Korea War as a U.S. Army paratrooper. He was inducted into the Southington Sports Hall of Fame. He is probably known by many of you as the person that the Southington North Senior League field is named after, Maselli Field. He was a mentor and coach to many of the youth in the league, especially Mr. Morelli shared. He enjoyed mentoring pitchers, so he was well known for that, and much more in the community. Loved in the community. So it's going to be a difficult loss. And I'd like to take a moment of silence to honor Jerry Maselli. Thank you, everybody. Okay, item number 2, we are looking for a motion to approve the Town Council meeting minutes for March 10th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion from Councilmen Palmieri and Del Santo. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Item 3, councilperson communications. Floor is open. Chris.
Yes, I have a couple items. First of all, some good news from the Unico Club. They are planning now for their gold medal. And if you haven't heard yet, Mark Ramsey is a recipient of the gold medal of honor for this year. That is set for Wednesday, May 21st at the AquaTurf. If anyone's interested, and if you know Mark, you know how much he gives back to the community, especially with the motto, service above self. Tickets are available online. You can just go to Southington Unico on Facebook or just online. The event itself is Wednesday, May 21st at the AquaTurf. And again, you can get tickets for that. Unico is also hosting their annual pancake breakfast on Sunday, April 6th at the Calendar House. Again, you can find information online related to those two events. And the last item I had mentioned, we would give an update about the barn. I had that meeting this past week. So just to share with the community some exciting updates about that. First of all, back in December, at the December 12th meeting, the Board of Ed approved the architect, which is Kenneth Borison, and they also approved the civil engineer, Cole Civil and Survey. That was back in December, so they've been approved. The barn design specs and material costs were awarded this past week at the Board of Ed meeting, and that's Barn Pros nationwide. So they're going to be putting together a conceptual design for the barn itself. This project is fully funded from a grant through the Southington High School Agricultural Science Program, so it's not really a cost, which is great for the town, and it's the ASTE Carry Forward Grant. The hope is to start construction. No specific date is set yet, but hopefully this summer, probably July, August timeframe, hopefully. And we also mapped out and spec'd out where we think the community gardens would still be able to go for this year. So the concern was obviously we don't want to have people plant and then bulldozers go over the new garden. So we think we're in good shape with that too. So it's very exciting, and hopefully we'll be seeing more life on that site coming up very, very soon.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris.
Welcome.
Anybody else? Councilperson communications? No? Okay. Moving on.
Mr.
Item
Chair?
4. Sorry, Jack, go ahead.
Thank you. I thought Val was going to state something. Are you?
No, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Chair, as you are aware, I sent a letter to the town manager with some concerns that are currently ongoing, and I'd like to read the letter into the record as well. Dear Town Manager Riccadone, I'm writing to formally express my concerns regarding the town's representation in ongoing mediation hearings on the Sign Pro lawsuit, and more specifically, the complete lack of response from our legal counsel, Attorney Thomas Gerard. Despite multiple email requests to be included as an observer, you've been copied on all the correspondence. As an elected town councilman, I have an obligation to remain informed on matters directly impacting our community and possible settlement that could impact the town's reputation and have serious financial repercussions. The refusal to acknowledge or respond to my requests is both unacceptable and a disservice to the taxpayers and residents we represent. Attorney Gerard represents the municipality, which includes all 9 members of the town council, not just select individuals or the majority party. However, I was recently informed by the town attorney that only the council chair is representing the council in these proceedings, a decision that was never formally discussed or agreed upon by the full council. This unilateral determination raises serious concerns regarding transparency, accountability, and the proper function of representative government. It is imperative that all council members are granted the opportunity to observe these proceedings, given the significant nature of the claims and allegations against the town. The exclusion of elected officials from such a critical matter undermines the principles of governance and erodes public trust. As a legal counsel to the municipality, Attorney Gerard has a responsibility to provide clear, timely, and equitable communication to all members of the governing body. His continued silence on this issue is unacceptable. I appreciate your attention in this issue and look forward to your prompt action towards resolving it. Please do not hesitate to reach out should you require any further information or assistance in this matter. So I just wanted to, read that into the record. Also state that, there were several emails that our town manager, and I'm pretty sure the town attorney was included on them as well, that went out to Attorney Gerard. It took, I think 5 emails to get a response from him in regards to what I feel a pressing issue. I understand that we go into executive sessions and we can't discuss what is discussed in the executive sessions, especially when it comes to litigation. But my request is that, the mediation hearings to just listen so that I'm not getting a briefing and I could actually do my job as a council person and represent those electors that voted me to represent them. So that is my claim. I do know, Mr. Chair, that you had communications with Lou Martaccio, our town attorney, as well today, because I met with him earlier in regards to this. And, I think that it's doing the town a disservice by not having multiple people. And I get that we can't all be there. This is a remote hearings that are occurring. But right now, there's no current representation from the minority party, which is the Democrats in Southington, part of those hearings. And obviously, we're all familiar with minority representation at the state level and the state statutes, and I feel that this is violating that. And I get that it comes back to the council in executive session, but it's second and third hand, and that's where I'd like to be at those hearings to observe. I obviously can't speak on behalf of the council. We have to meet together, but I think that this is a very pressing issue because, again, this could cost the taxpayers some serious money. There was the town of East Haven that was sued, and they ended up losing, and it cost the town a judgment of $9.47 million plus interest, cost the town over $11 million, and this was recent. So different claim in different situation, but that was a business that was suing the town in regards to what has transpired there. So. Also, I heard rumors that there may be a motion to, pick somebody who goes. I want to kind of debunk that us as a council, we don't have the authority to limit other council members to represent the electors. Meaning, If the council decided to kick me off the council, you guys don't have that authority. You guys don't also, in my opinion, have an authority to state that I can't go there. So, as you're aware, Mr. Chair, I am prepared to hire my own outside legal counsel, and there's multiple things I could do. I could file an injunction that obviously does not look good on the town of Southington, a amicus brief, or a writ of mandamus. So there's multiple steps that I can do, and I'm prepared to do that to obviously address this issue if we're going to continue this path.
Thank you, Councilman Perry. Anybody else? Val?
Thank you. So just a couple things. I wanted to congratulate the DECA program at the high school. I was on the business advisory group for a number of years at the high school and involved with the DECA program, and they really do a nice job. So I had heard that the competition in March, they did extremely well. They took home a number of awards. So it's just great to see. You know, we talk about sports and music a lot, and sometimes we forget the business awards that the students do. And I also wanted to let people know that the Friends of Southington Animal Control will be having an open house at Animal Control on Saturday. So from 2:30 to 4, if you'd like to go up there and see a lot of the changes that have been made at Animal Control. The Friends Group has done just a tremendous job to help support our town and the animal control facility with what they've been doing up there. So if you have time, just to come up there and see that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Val, I don't want to put you on the spot. Did you want to give an update, though, on the girls' basketball? I think there's an accomplishment there to talk about, right?
I was, I just feel so badly. George is here. So, yes, last meeting I had mentioned that the girls were going to be playing in I think it was the semifinals, but they made it to the final game, and they came up a little bit short. So I just want to congratulate them on just an outstanding season. And it's tough to come up short. If you get to Mohegan Sun for playing for a state title, you know, that's hard. So congratulations to the coaches, parents, all the friends and family that support the players. But, you know, really congratulations to the players because they work hard all season to get there. Thank you.
They should definitely be proud. Thank you, Val, for the update. Okay, other councilperson communications? Okay, here none. Just one from my side. I was asked to attend the Rotary meeting. Our former town council chairwoman, Victoria Tran, who's here, was in attendance and had an opportunity to give a state of the town. I was asked to give an update on how things were going, financial situation, some of the key initiatives, and had some really good dialogue with the Rotary members. And I just wanted to thank Rotary for the invitation, and hopefully we can do it again real soon.
They talk about my little league.
No,
Played for the Rotary in the early '80s.
at Western Baseball, I remember.
16 home runs.
We beat you, I remember.
Batted .665, didn't make the All-Star team.
All right. Okay, anybody else on councilmatic communications? Okay. Hearing none, let's move on to item 4, reports of special
That was
committees.
the catcher. Fat kid is always the catcher.
Item A, apple harvest.
Plans are
Chris.
progressing nicely for the 2025 festival with our new festival coordinator, Melissa Kakuza. She's bringing a lot of new ideas back to the festival. She was our coordinator for the 50th anniversary. So we're underway for planning this year. At the last meeting, we approved our credit card vendor Transgate, Thunder and Lighting, and Jerry Limmer as our sound and stage engineer, and CWPM trash and dumpster vendor. All three of them, again, helped the town out, kept the same rates as what they had for the 2024 festival. So we appreciate them working with us, and they'll be back for the festival. And the other thing is we set the theme for this year. So the theme for the festival is Harvest Fun for Everyone this year. So we'll be seeing that, especially related to our parade. All applications are now available, so you can go on the website, southington.org, and click on the apple, and all information will be there for you.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions on Apple Harvest? Hearing none, let's move on to item B, Sewer Committee.
Sure, just a couple of things. We're still collecting financial information for any increase in sewer rates, a very minor one, and that's still going on. But a couple of things. The committee tonight, tonight the town council will vote on a manhole chemical root control proposal. It's essentially, it is what it is, it is what it sounds like. Roots grow into the sewer lines, especially on areas of weakness. We know where those are. And we've got a bid from Duke's Root Control using the HGAC buy contract price, and it's all in your packet tonight, for 4,325 linear feet of sewer main, to deal with the roots. The amount is, I'll leave it to the town manager to talk about that. Second thing, we have, in the spirit of technological advances we need to make in the town, we're doing a minor thing, which is to automate somehow the grease trap management of the restaurants in town. And that's, we're going to buy, looking at buying a piece of software that essentially tracks every single grease-producing restaurant in town, their maintenance schedules. So we set up the maintenance schedules with the restaurants. The state mandates cleaning them every 90 days. Grease traps are real bad for sewer backups, and we would like to be on top of that. At the moment, we go around bugging them to do it. Anybody who's worked in a restaurant will know that the grease trap cleaning is probably the worst thing you can do. So every 90 days, we have it computerized that we will know who is doing what. So it eliminates quite a lot of labor, something we talked about in the last few meetings that we plan on doing. It's a very minor thing, but it fits in with the theme of what we're doing. Okay, Mr. Chairman, that's it.
Any questions on sewer?
Can I ask a question? I'm intrigued by that, Tony. So will the business owner get a notification, say it's time to clean your grease traps out, or will the town get a notification
We
after the 90 days saying that they haven't done it?
we would have it set up so that, the 90th day for that particular restaurant.
Right.
Yeah, have you cleaned your grease trap? No? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Do it and send us
So there'll be a
send us the
window.
paperwork. Yeah,
Oh,
send us the
okay.
paperwork that you've done it.
Interesting.
And we don't have to, as I say, we don't have to deploy labor to do that.
Excellent. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions on sewer? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to item C, self-insurance. Tony, I think that's you again.
That's me, but I'd like to ask to let me use the iPad, because that's where I have the numbers. And I didn't have time to print it out tonight.
Okay.
Hopefully that's okay. Okay, self-insurance, what we looked at was the overall cost for claims that we're forecasting for the next budget year. We had a couple of quotes in front of us. One was the forecast we had a couple of months back, which was for $33,926,665. The new consultant projected forecast was quite a bit lower. It was for $70,343. Quite a difference between them. The committee decided to go with something a little bit above the consultant's forecast for us, a total of $33,426,665. That's gone to the Board of Finance to be put into with the rest of the budget, and it will eventually come to us, obviously, through the budget. That's it.
Any questions on self-insurance? Chris?
Just to clarify, Tony, because I was trying to write down the numbers as you were saying them.
Yeah.
So you're proposing somewhere in the middle of what the original forecast was and what the new
Yes.
projected for. So you're splitting the difference.
Correct.
Correct? Okay.
A little bit less, but yes.
And what was it, 33 million?
$426,665.
Okay. And again, that's somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Okay.
And we will, in that forecast, by the way, we will use $1 million of reserves. So, yeah.
And just as a reminder, that goes to the Board of Finance for consideration and recommendation. Anybody else, Jack?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think it's important to, highlight, while we were discussing that on that subcommittee, there was, I guess, talk about the Board of Finance reducing it by another 600,000. So there was a motion to lower it by $1 million, but there wasn't an appetite by all for that to happen. So I made the motion for the halfway point because I thought that was realistically and fiscally responsible, especially if the Board of Finance is going to take an extra 600,000 out of the reserves. Because our reserve policy states that we can only use $1 million out of reserves, which we've been doing, and each year the Board of Finance has been going over and beyond that and taking more out. So the concern was that if we went, the full $1 million and then more money's, going to be taken out as a planned thing that has been happening for years, we didn't want it to be too far that then it costs the town taxpayers. Because this fund is generated by an 80-20 split, 80% roughly from the town, 20% from employees. So in the event we don't properly budget, it would come 100% on the taxpayers if we run out of reserves one day. So that was my concern, is trying to keep the reserves healthy. So that's all.
You have me at a disadvantage, Councillor, because each one of those forecasts included $1 million from reserves. And the new forecast includes $1 million from reserves.
Yeah, and we increased it an extra 500,000 on top of that. So we reduced the budget by 500,000 and then continue to still use that $1 million in reserves.
Okay.
Wait a sec, the number we've given.
Just through me,
Right.
Tony, that's all, please.
The number we've given to the Board of Finance is an overall number of $33,426,665, which includes $1 million from the reserves. That's the official number. It goes to the Board of Finance. They will look at it, do what their judgment is, and then come to us eventually. That's it.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes, please, Val.
just a quick question for Councilor Morrison. What is the reserve? Do you have the reserve number right now?
It's 8.5 million.
About 8.5.
It's a lot.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
as of February 28th, the reserve looks to be at 7 million. And I could submit this if you want.
That's a big difference.
You want to send that to the clerk, Jack?
I can if you'd like.
Sure. That's great. Thank you. Any other questions on self-insurance? Okay, item D, Library Building Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Library Building Committee is a lot less complicated. We are on schedule to complete by the end of April. We're in the final stages of landscaping, parking enhancement, of refinishing, and there's a small retaining wall that still has to be installed. In regards to Councilman Perry's question last meeting regarding the compaction testing, I was advised that there was a grid set up with 4 sections. Each corner was a test point, and then random sections in each one of those grids was checked every 2 feet by an independent outside lab. And there's a spiral notebook about 6 inches thick with all the data. So if you'd like to go look at it, you're welcome to go look at it. But yes, there was a very conscious effort to make sure that it was done correctly.
Perfect, just because I believe that's where the patio's gonna end up going.
Actually, no, the patio's already in, but we did want to make sure that that was prepared so that in the event in the future, if there's any kind of expansion done there, they'll have a good firm footing. They won't have to worry about debris and uncompacted soil. So we brought it back to a natural, perfect state.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions for the Library Building Committee?
Just a
Val?
quick question. So Jim, in the back where right now you can drive in and put the books in the book drop. And you have to come back around. Once the parking lot is open on the other side, are you going to be able to go out that way?
The flow will be reversed. So right now, people are going backwards and they're hitting the building. So when the back parking lot opens up, they will be coming in with the driver's side window at the drop. And
So it'll be totally flip-flopped?
Yes.
right? You won't come in from the side we're coming in now.
No. Well, you could.
You could, but
You
that's
could
what
go
I'm
either
saying.
direction, but the flow through the book drop will be to the north, not to the
Towards-
south.
towards
Right now,
Meriden
they're coming in
Avenue.
and they're going around the circle.
Right, so now it'll be you'll drop the book and then go out
Straight
towards
out.
Meriden Avenue.
Yeah.
Okay,
You could go around if you want, but
It's
the
gonna be-
natural flow would be to go
right.
straight through.
right. So
And
you're
then-
just gonna have to be careful of, because the parking lot, you're just gonna be careful of people walking.
Yeah, that, and also the corner of the library has been hit 3 times already, the siding.
It's a tight,
So
yeah.
we are making a modification there. We're gonna put a baluster in there, and we're gonna also move the curb out so your tire can't get that close.
Right,
And we may even extend the drop box chutes to make it, so you don't wanna
you don't
hug
have
the
to come that
building.
close to the building.
Yeah, the people they're getting too close and they're hitting that corner as they're driving around.
And if I remember correctly, there was no room for a sidewalk, right?
Correct. Yeah,
So you're
because we were tight back there.
too tight back there, yeah, so it's just gonna have to be careful of people walking
Yeah.
from
Well,
that.
the
from that-
crosswalk is delineated there really well, where the
Right.
main, that's the main entrance actually, or the second main entrance, the
Right,
rear entrance.
Right, yep, yeah, it's looking good.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Mike?
I agree with Val. I pulled Austin Powers in the golf cart. I'm back, forth. Almost got caught one day, so it'll be nice once it's done. But we have an ETA when that fencing's coming down? I want to see it. It's,
Well, I did ask to
put some peekaboos.
get a
or-
window in,
Yeah.
and they were looking at it, but I think there's a reason why they don't open it up.
Okay. You know,
And it'll be down in the end of April, so.
oh, all right. I can wait.
Okay, any other questions? Library Building Committee? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to item 5, Town Manager's Report and Communication. A, Water Pollution Control 2025 Root Control Project Recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I get to A, I have some really good news just wanted to share with the public. Spoke with Bread for Life, and I spoke with Dawn Sargent at the Calendar House. I'm very, very, very excited to report that Bread for Life has been coming into the Calendar House Wednesdays and Thursdays, providing up to 25 meals a day to supplement the state and federal funds that have come in. We haven't had to turn anybody away. We've had excess meals ready. I'm told the food that Bread for Life prepares is hands down better than the food that the quote-unquote vendor, which is very good food too, but provide people, the folks are loving the Bread for Life food. So big shout out to Bread for Life. Their new executive director, Missy Cipriano, really stepped up and really helped out our community. So big thanks to them. Item A.
So, can
Yes,
I-
sir.
Mr. Chair. sorry,
Please.
Just one comment. I've spoken with Senator Sampson and Mr. Poulos about this as well, and they're working very hard. Bread for Life is top-notch, second to none. It's the best, and I think it's great, but I have a really hard time that Bread for Life has to supplement our seniors. I mean, this money's coming from the federal government, it goes to the state, and the state is supposed to spread it out. For some reason, Southington's not getting their share, I don't think. So they're looking into it, and they're both working very hard to ensure this money, we're getting what we deserve. Because I'm having a real hard time that Bread for Life, who has their own customers and their own work to do, shouldn't have to be supplementing our seniors. So we're on it, we're trying to get some answers over the next couple of meetings, I should be able to report back on that. But that is good news, they do a fantastic job, Bread for Life. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You got it?
Back to item A, the Duke's root control recommendation. You know, Mr. Councilman Morrison kind of stole the show on that one. It is a chemical-based treatment, and the only thing I will say is the cost of the contract is $10,505.35, plus a 10% contingency on top of it.
Can you repeat that, Alex?
$10,505.35, plus a 10% contingency. And,
That's included.
That includes a contingency.
no,
It's on top.
that's the base, plus. I'm sorry, that is the base plus the contingency, yes.
Right.
10,505 all in.
Correct. 95, 50, 35 with, yep.
And Duke's was a regional cooperative that goes out to bid, so luckily there's a lot of these regional Connecticut cooperatives that do the bidding, the RFPs for us, and we can just piggyback off them. It really saves us a ton of time, and we get the best price possible. And we've done a lot of work with them in the past. So staff is very confident they'll do a great job going forward.
Alice, can you do me a favor, just check the packet for us? The quote says total purchase price, $95,5035,
Correct.
as does the letter, but then in the letter, it says 10,505 plus 10% contingency. So the question is that an error, the plus 10%? Or is it including a 10%?
It says the 10,505 is the base price plus a 10 consent. So I read it to be, those to be together.
Okay, so that includes the contingency?
Yes.
So your motion you're looking for later is for 10,50535?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions on the water pollution control, which I think is an annual?
It is.
So this is not new for this year. Any questions on that? Okay. Item B, building department update.
A little bit more good news. I spoke with David Ricky, our chief building official. We are caught up for 2024. All 2025 applications are within the state guidelines. I do have one ask, though. If you know anybody, we're really struggling to fill a final assistant building official position. We've got 3. We really need one more. Spring building season's coming up, and it's not a Southington problem. Everybody's struggling, but if you know anybody who may fit the qualifications, I'm ready to sponsor someone. If I know they can take the test, we'll do whatever we can to get them in there, because we really are still short a body. The guys and ladies are tired of, they're working a lot of overtime to catch up, and we really like one more person in there.
Okay. Questions on building department update? Anybody know an ABO? They're hard to come by these days. Okay, and I think, Alex, we've heard this. Anybody who's in the trade, who has experience in building or trade, if you're looking for a career change at any point, it's something that, you mentioned it, Alex is willing to sponsor. There is a course that you can take and get certified. So just reach out to Alex if that's of interest to you.
If you're tired of working up and down, climbing in attics in the middle of the summer, give me a call.
All right. Okay, item C, library building donation naming opportunities.
It's the night of great news. More good news. The library committee secured 3 additional donations to the library building. They are in the packet, but I'll read them for the record so the folks know. The first one is in loving memory of Dr. Michael Reisman, DDS, and that's to name the seating area in the upstairs of the library. The second is to read gifted by Joe and Kay Calvinese Foundation for the Maker Space area. And the third is gifted by Rick and Paula Knight for the patio door and seating area. Those were approved by the library committee. As you know, the charter requires the town council to approve those as well before any building or part of a building is completed in Southington.
And I think a supermajority vote on those, correct? So just keep in mind. Okay. Any questions on the naming opportunities for the library, for donations? Okay, hearing none. Item D, Police Union Contract Law Enforcement Alliance of Southington.
I'd like to welcome up Chief Jack Daly, and Patrolman David Carbone, if you'd like to come up. More good news. This is really a great example of labor management working well together. Early in the year, David Carbone and Brandon Lanza reached out to me and said, hey, we'd like to sit down with you and the chief. Our contract is expiring, and we want to just talk about what we could do to help the town and some things that we're looking for. So I'm happy to report we had a lot of cups of coffee. We had a lot of conversations. I don't think the union is elated over it. The town's not elated, but I think everybody feels it's a very, very fair and reasonable contract. The more the bigger details are in your packet. The biggest thing I will say is everybody was in agreement to help hire lateral police officers, certified officers. It's good for the town. It's good for everybody. And the chief and Mr. Carbone did a great job of really putting together some proposals that aren't very costly to the town, but are very beneficial to the town. So without further ado, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to turn it over to the police.
Thank you, Chief.
As the town manager said, I think that what's happening in the state now is that people are realizing how marketable officers are. And there's many towns out there that are making very lucrative offers to police officers to transfer to get certified lateral officers. I think the town realized it and sort of bridged the gap between we lost a few and we try and get certified so that we don't have to send them to the academy, which it almost takes a year by the time we hire them to the time they're on the road. As he said, it's a very fair package. I think the union understood that because the majority of our police officers are also taxpayers in this town, so it's going to affect them in another way. So I think it's a very fair package, and Dave can speak on behalf of the union.
I will just reiterate what they both said. We have no complaints in the package, give and take, but we're happy with it, as long as you guys are.
And in any negotiations, everyone's not always happy. So both sides gave a little, took a little, and it's a fair package.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate you putting your best foot forward and working with each other on it, both to the town manager and to the leadership in the department and the union. You know, I know that these are difficult times that we're in, so sometimes emotions can be high and on either sides. But I do want to thank you for coming to the table and working together on it and doing what is best for everybody. Everybody gives a little, takes a little. Everybody has it in their packet, everybody on the dais here, so I think we've had an opportunity to take a look at it. Is there anything that you'd like to ask the chief or the union president here, please? Val.
Chief, given the, guess the competition, you know, because you don't want to lose officers as you get them, do you feel like this will kind
It's-
of match up with other towns? That
It's
you-
absolutely a step in the right direction.
But there's still
It'll
more-
help us retain, I think if we were the highest paid police department in the state, I think we're the best police department in the state, so I'm sure Dave would go along if we were the highest paid, but we're not. But we're also, we're very, people will look at us and say, okay. And people in this state understand the backing we get from our town. That's very important to a police officer, that they have the backing of the community, the backing of the forefathers of the community.
That's right.
That's huge, and a lot of towns are jealous of how we understand the safety money we recently were given, and people throughout the state see the positives that Southington gives to its police department, and that's a drawing factor for us
Right.
also.
Right, and that's really important. I mean, it seems like there's some good changes here that overall,
Yep.
you know, trying to add.
It's a good
It's not going to be the
package.
highest paid, but.
Yep,
there's some
everyone would
other-
love to be the highest paid.
Right, exactly.
I think you're the highest paid council, right?
Don't tell them that.
We all have equal council pay here.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Anybody else? Jack.
Mr. Chair, thank you. So I actually ran into a retired officer, and I don't know if we could talk about it on the dais, but I was told that the town manager knew about it, that I guess there's some retired officers that used to do some road jobs as well to help alleviate, and they're being told that they can't do that moving forward. Is that true?
That's not accurate at all.
Okay. They said something about their agreements with the town. I don't know. It
That
just-
has nothing to do with the union contract.
No, I know it doesn't have to do with the union contract, but is there officers that are retired that no longer could work for the town as supernumerary?
No, that's not true at this point.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Chris, we just talked about the union contract. Anything from your side?
No, no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service and thank you for coming. Okay, moving on to item 6, Town Attorney's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My report was actually pretty brief, and Councilman Perry has already addressed essentially what I was going to report to the council and the public as a whole. As the council as a whole is aware, and I think most people in town at this point are aware, there seems to be some concern about what members of the council are going to participate and have participated in the past as it relates to the upcoming mediation related to litigation pending against the town. I was going to suggest that, should the council so desire, perhaps you make it an action item. I know that there's a fundamental difference of opinion. I don't know that I can play a role in bridging the gap in that regard, and more importantly, I don't know that it's my role to bridge the gap, but I do think that for the unity of the town, and more importantly, the town council at this point, there needs to be some closure as it relates to what the parameters are of involvement with this upcoming mediation.
Okay. Any questions for the town attorney? I will just say, we heard from Councilman Perry during councilmanic communications about the letter that he submitted. We also all received a letter in response to that from Attorney Gerard explaining the proceedings in the past, how the communication has actually flowed to the council on numerous occasions. I would like to ask if we can please, to the town manager, if we can have that entered into the record to the town clerk. I don't know if you have a copy. If you don't, then I can submit it to the town clerk.
I've got it in email. I can get it over to the town clerk.
Thank you. And for the town attorney, can you, maybe one thing you could do is explain what mediation is. Is it a legal proceeding? Can you explain to us, for the folks who might be watching or in the room, talk a little bit about mediation versus a court proceeding? What is, typically, is it used for? If you can give us a little bit of background on that.
Of course. A mediation falls under the broad umbrella of alternative dispute resolution, or ADR. And the intention is that it allows a forum in which the parties to any dispute have the opportunity to come together, whether it be in person, whether it be oftentimes in breakout rooms, or in this case, being done electronically or through Zoom. It is intended by its very nature to be confidential in nature, meaning that not only do the parties rely on the the mediator to serve in many respects as a neutral, but to give an opinion to each party of the strengths and merits that he or she sees associated with each party's side or claim associated with the lawsuit. One of the things that's critical when it comes to any form of ADR or settlement negotiations is they cannot be used in any court proceeding, nor are they supposed to be discussed in public. The idea or the philosophy behind it is they want the parties to feel free to express opinions, frustrations, air their grievances, but more importantly, attempt to reach a resolution. Oftentimes, a case does settle at mediation, or at least is the catalyst that causes that case to settle. But no matter what, there's a strict code, so to speak, that whatever happens, even if the parties are literally off by $1, none of that information can be used down the road. Again, the idea is they want to ensure all of the parties that the information will remain confidential and not be used at a later date, in particular at a court. In our particular case, we've had two different mediation sessions. The first was with a federal judge who was sitting on the bench in federal court here in Connecticut. That unfortunately didn't bear any fruit, and quite frankly, it may have been too early in the proceedings, but nevertheless, not a whole lot happened at that mediation. The mediation the town's currently involved in is a private mediation. It's a former Superior Court judge who works for a law firm, and this is her service she offers to the law firm. She acts as a mediator, meaning an attempt to bring the parties together. And it's not something that the court has jurisdiction over or generally even has any involvement in. I don't know because I'm not involved in the lawsuit, but generally speaking, the court doesn't even know that there's a mediation ongoing. Finally, the sole purpose of a mediation is to avoid the uncertainty of litigation, the cost, the delay, and hopefully the potential to resolve a claim without it going much longer. That's where we are now. As I think most people are aware, the town has participated in one full day of mediation. There's another one scheduled to come forward a week from tomorrow. Again, where that will go is anyone's guess. I am not involved personally in any aspect of it, but I know that the attorney who's representing the town in this lawsuit is Tom Gerard. He is certainly very optimistic that some headway can be made, whether it's a settlement or not. The goal is to at least bring the parties closer.
and if I could summarize it, this is a non-legal proceeding. It's not a proceeding that is governed by the courts.
Oh, not at
This
all.
is basically both parties coming together saying, we want to get in a room and we'd like some help from somebody who's done this before for many years to help with the communications. Can you talk about if any, whatever the output is of the mediation, where does it go after that? Is the decision final in mediation? Or,
Well, there's never a decision. The objective is to bring the parties together to reach a resolution, and you summed it up best. It allows both parties to talk through I could be shot for using the term, but a neutral, meaning that individual hears both sides of the argument, if you will, and attempts to bridge the gap, narrow the issues, and ultimately resolve the claim. If a case at any mediation were to settle, generally the next step is the parties draft an agreement and withdraw the lawsuit. That's only if the case settles. The scope of involvement for the court is essentially none. The judge assigned to this case, I would be surprised if he was even aware that there's a mediation ongoing, because it's something done by the parties outside of the court. Now, there are occasions where a court can order a mediation, or parties can file a motion to what's called stay the proceedings, or put them on hold to now allow the parties the opportunity to go forward and participate in a mediation. It's always the better way to go. In any litigation, the uncertainty on each side is far too great. If you have control, i.e. through a mediation or to a more formal extent arbitration, it's generally the better way to go. It's, as a general rule, faster, easier. The confidentiality is the underlying theme associated with it.
is it accurate to say that the outcome of this will come back to the full council for review and discussion and determination of anything that goes forward?
100%. As you're aware, and I think everyone in this room is aware, whoever participates, whether it be one person, two, or nine, you don't have the legal authority to bind the town, and you certainly can't bind the council on a smaller level. Whoever participates, again, I know there's an issue as to who and how many, but whoever participates will use the term that I've used in the past as a liaison. You're there to answer factual questions that may arise not directly to the party, but to the mediator that may have some questions about certain procedural or facts that are alleged or claimed. The more important role that individual plays is to take the information, go back to the council, probably an executive session, and update the town. Now, in the past two mediations, what's happened is the Attorney Gerard, presented himself at the executive level session and addressed what happened, gave an overview, and answered questions. I assume whether it's one individual, two, or nine, the same thing will happen at the next mediation, as well as any other litigation pending.
And we did hear that you had informed Councilman Perry about the fact that there was a decision on who was going to attend the mediation. We've discussed that before, right? I mean, this is not a new, this council is aware of that for some time.
No, my recollection, and don't quote me, but my recollection is that Attorney Gerard had recommended that you serve not only because you were the chair, but also, I believe, there was some direct communication with the plaintiff's counsel in which you were requested to participate. And when I say participate, I mean attend, gather information, and answer factual questions.
Okay, so there's a suggestion from the town attorney that we should consider adding this for discussion later on. How's everybody feel about that?
If I may be briefly heard in that regard, the only reason I suggest that is in an effort to avoid any further division in the council, with the council. I think that right now, there needs to be some clear marching orders. And
So-
if we're not unified as a whole, then how do we
Fair.
effectively participate in a mediation?
Why don't I make the question a little clearer? We could do this. I'll ask, would anybody be willing to make a motion to add item D, action on litigation for mediation for town council representation at upcoming mediation under old business?
So what was that motion again, Mr. Chair?
Is anybody interested in having a discussion later? So anybody interested in adding item D under old business for action on litigation mediation and who the town council representation should be for
So-
said mediation.
So you're looking to add an action item and not a discussion item? Because at first you stated discussion, but then you went back.
Certainly we'll discuss it, but we can take action as well or not. We can decide whether to take action. So under old business, action, I'll do this. I'm looking for a motion to add item D, action on litigation mediation for the town council representation at the upcoming litigation for Sign Pro. Anybody willing to make that motion, to add that for discussion and action?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll make.
Mr. Chair,
We have
I'll
a
make the
motion from
Yeah,
Councilman
sure.
Morrison
I'll second.
and a second from Councilwoman DiPaolo. Any further discussion, or can we save it till later for detailed discussion?
I have some question. Sure. I know Mr. Perry put the letter that he wrote into the record, and you asked that Attorney Gerard's response be put into the record as well?
Yes.
We haven't talked about it. What is, lead counsel for this lawsuit said what?
I am paraphrasing, but I'm reasonably certain that somebody has a copy of it, that it was his suggestion that only one member of the council participate, that his recommendation was Paul, based on the reasons I told you earlier. The fact that he has familiarity with it, and the fact that, as I believe, I don't want to put words in Attorney Gerard's mouth, that the plaintiff's counsel had requested that Mr. Chaplinsky participate. Now, again, perhaps Mr. Chaplinsky knows better if I'm making a mistake on that, but that was what I was told a month or so ago.
Thank you.
You mean defendant's counsel?
I'm sorry?
Defendant's counsel.
By defense counsel, yes.
Mr. Chair, do you need the letter? Do we
Sure.
need the
You want to
letter?
pass it down? Thanks, Phil. We were absent that. Okay, any other discussions before we call the roll to add it for further discussion later? Because we can add it later.
Yeah, it's just a question, actually, for the attorney now, that's still on his bit. What's your opinion of our Attorney Gerard's capabilities in this area as a municipal, representative for municipal, organizations like us?
Now, with all due respect, sir, if he was an incompetent moron, I probably couldn't say that. I'd much rather talk about Mr. Del Santo's catching days. Being as frank as I possibly can, I will tell you that he is probably one of the best, if not the best, lawyers in this particular field of law in the state. And that position is held without regard to anyone I've ever spoken to. When this lawsuit was filed, as I've said repeatedly in the past, I am not involved in any aspect of the lawsuit. In fact, I've never read the complaint. But I will tell you that I did some due diligence, because if someone's going to represent the town in a very serious claim, I did my research and made phone calls, and his reputation is stellar. He's held by most circles in the highest regard there can be for municipal law.
Thank you.
Okay. We obviously can have more detailed discussion under this, under old business. Anything else to clarify with the town attorney before we call the roll? Madam Clerk, why don't we call the roll on it?
Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo,
No.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Diedzik,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky.
Yes, motion passes 8-1, so we'll add that as an item D under old business. Any other updates for the town attorney?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 7, public communications. Anybody who would like to speak, come on up, state your name and address for the record. We're looking for people who are residents of the town of Southington or work in the town of Southington, work for a business in the town of Southington.
Hi, yes, my name is Diane Kosis.
Hi, Diane.
And I live at 20 Oak Road in Southington, Connecticut. I have 4 items. First of all, I want to thank this council. This is related to Reworld, and Paul, I have spoken to you before, I don't know if you remember me, through my tears. My sincere thanks for your written and your moral support related to Reworld in Bristol, even though we still suffer from the low-frequency noise, and the state attorney will not enforce the criminal violations related to this noise. The Bristol Burlington Health Department is doing their best, but the Bristol Town Council, and I've appeared before them several times, not in tears, though once. But the Bristol Town Council has not provided support to the BBDHD and their residents. Also, now we will all soon suffer that DEEP has, that's the Department of Energy Environmental Protection, has given provisional approval to ReWorld to burn medical waste with loopholes related to toxins coming from the smokestack. But I just want to thank the town council. So thank you for writing your letter and in its support.
You're welcome.
Representative Rebecca Martinez has bills out that will not be heard in the committee this session, unfortunately, though she has a bill out for both issues. Okay, number two. There are two aspects of this particular one. The bike path, and it's combined with one other thing. I have witnessed and been victim of bike gangs. I know, I couldn't think of another term. But they are several young boys, mostly, and there were 2 adults sometimes riding with them, that take the entire path going one way. They will then pull their bikes up and do wheelies in front of you. So you're forced off the path, and we're talking about people with babies and carriages and me on a bicycle. I'm 70 years old, and that is a very scary thing when they're coming straight at you. And there can be anywhere from 6 to upwards of, last year, I ran into about maybe at least 40, if not 50 of them on the path. And I'm not really sure what can be done about something along those lines, but my concern is that someone's going to get hurt, if not scared of that situation. And I was wondering if there was some way to be able to identify them. They've been doing it a lot more down toward the new section as well. They take their bikes and tip them on the front wheels and spin the back wheel real hard and then drop it in the gravel where the walking path is supposed to be, or the running path, and it kicks up all of the gravel up out of it and leaves deep ruts in it. So if you walk that path, you'll see what I'm talking about. So my concern is whether or not I can take pictures of them. I have pictures of them from the back so that you cannot identify who the boys are. But if there is a way to identify the boys, I'm saying boys, I haven't really seen any girls riding with the boys that have been doing this. And if there's a way to identify them, I was hoping that we could do some kind of community service thing. Like, I'd like to get to know the boys a little bit more, to realize that we are humans and that a little bit of respect and responsibility can go a long way. And I would like to see if we can get volunteers who will work with the boys to clean up I have pictures of the garbage along that stretch, and it's really bad. It's between ShopRite and BJ's. And I was hoping that they have the boys clean up that area as a community service and being supervised. And then whether or not ShopRite and BJ's would be willing to provide lunch for both the group of kids that are involved and any of the volunteers too. So I don't know your feelings on that, but I'll just keep going on my other things then. Because I know I only have 5 minutes, even though I only had 3. Aircraft Road. At the end of the road, there is a 55-year-old manufactured home, mobile home community. There is a section, is that my 5 minutes already? That privately owned park owner states is the town's responsibility for paving. And recognizing that the bike path might not travel down that way, we were informed that this was on hold because of that. This has been a dangerous situation for the walking elderly. The entire road requires some updating given the expansion of the trucking company and the heavy vehicles and road tear-ups for utilities.
Thank you. Just for clarification, Ms. Kozis, are you talking about Aircraft Road?
Yes.
So maybe just for the town manager and for the Public Works Chair, I know we're in the final reviews of the roads and what needs paving and what doesn't for the priorities for this year. And I know, Jack, you're on the committee as well. Jim. So can we add Aircraft Road to be looked at and assessed and, put that in wherever it fits?
And please go to the end of the road, because not just at the beginning area.
the whole road.
That's where the contention is. It's been patched many times,
Understand.
and
So
when
there's
it rains,
at the
it's
end,
really
it's a dead end
bad.
before it goes in. So we'll look into that, and
Okay.
basically the town staff determines the final priority with the Public Works oversight, Public Works
Okay.
Committee oversight. We'll look into that. You can contact me offline to talk about the other stuff. I think we have our contacts, so reach out to me, and I'll work with you on that. But in the meantime, I see the chief's back there still.
I
Maybe
know, I kept looking over
it
at
would be
him.
good if you, I know the chief and I have had discussions about the bike problem as well, including this past week. I think with the warmer weather, we can all agree it's probably not, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yes, it is,
So
yeah.
exchange with the chief your information, anything you have, and then maybe when you and I talk, we can discuss, and you can maybe also talk with the chief, and he may also have some ideas.
Sure, that would be
Okay.
great.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, but there's one other thing. There's a tower back there. Everybody knows the wire tower
Yeah,
behind.
that's privately
Star Trek.
owned.
I know,
Yeah.
but is there any way that the private owner will allow it to be tagged?
We've
I mean,
tried.
really, paint it like
We've
"Welcome
tried.
to Southington."
Yeah, thank you.
That's what I was thinking.
We've tried.
of.
They've denied us, yeah.
What a bummer.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Ms. Kosis. Okay. Anybody else? Name and address for the record.
Hello, Stacy Dolan, 1614 Meriden Ave. And first, I just want to say, please don't post any pictures of those kids on Southington Talks.
No.
The parents get really upset. and-
asking here.
Yeah, no, they threatened me once for suing me, so that wasn't fun. All right, so politics often turns into a battle of egos, where disagreements become more about winning than about genuine concerns. Mocking Councilman Perry isn't just an attack on him. It's a slight against the voters who put his trust in him. He's making a sincere effort to represent his constituents and stay well-informed about local matters. Dismissing him with ridicule only makes the council look petty and unprofessional. At a meeting about a month ago, Councilman Perry voiced his concern over the $2 million Bank of America purchase, suggesting that it should have gone to referendum. Rather than being met with thoughtful discussion, he was condemned for the idea and mocked for supposedly wanting everything to go to a vote. I claim that is simply untrue. I rarely miss a meeting, and I can recall only 2 incidences where he advocated for a referendum. One for cannabis sales, which could have increased town revenue, a proposal that was declined, and now for the Bank of America purchase. While I agree with Perry, I also recognize that the town put itself in a position where there wasn't enough time for a referendum. That said, it's important to be transparent about the financial impact of this purchase. It wasn't about the $2 million price tag, but also a loss of tax revenue, ongoing maintenance costs, and insurance expenses. Given another year of a mill rate increase, Perry's push for a referendum wasn't laughable. It was a responsible effort to keep taxpayers informed. And lastly, I am a good friend with Jack, and I wholeheartedly believe in him. I stand by him because of his deep love for our town. That's what brought us so close in the first place. He takes his role seriously, and while some of you on the dais may disagree with him, he deserves the same respect he consistently gives to all of you. Jack has never been condescending to you or passive-aggressive during your meetings. Yet to some of you, treat him as very disappointing. He is simply trying to do what's best for our town. Too often it seems like decisions are made out of stubbornness rather than the common sense, cutting off your nose to spite your face. The simplest solution would have been to let him observe the darn meeting. The fact that it escalated this far is just absurd. It seems our town does this often, and perhaps why we're in this lawsuit to begin with. Yes, the attorney suggested that to keep it to one person, but that was a suggestion. He says it in the letter very clearly that it's up to you guys. I mean, one councilman being present in that meeting isn't going to change anything. I think we really are just being jerks for the heck of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, we will close public communications and move on to item 8, old business. Action on Water Pollution Control 2025 Root Control Project Recommendation. We are looking for a motion to approve Duke's Root Control, Inc. in the amount of $10,505, 35. Oh, sorry, $10,505,000. No, it's 10,000, yeah. 10,000, come on, Chris, I know I've made these mistakes before. I'm going to repeat it, okay? We're looking for a motion for Duke's Root Control, Inc. Let me just finish, please. Duke's Root Control, Inc. in the amount of $10,505.35 for 4,325 linear feet of sewer main. This cost also includes a 10% contingency.
I'll make a motion to approve 10,000.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Just for those, it's important when we do contracts to be very specific in what we're approving, so that's the reason why we need to make sure we get the numbers correct. So thanks. Let's call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky.
Yes, the motion passes unanimously. We have 3 actions on the library building donation opportunities. If somebody would be kind enough to make, I'd like to do 3 separate motions since we need supermajority on each.
I'll make a motion to approve the naming in loving memory of Dr. Michael Reisman, DDS, for the seating area upstairs in the Southington Library.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that one? Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo.
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky.
Yes, motion passes unanimously. Second one.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we have a naming opportunity gifted by Joe and Kay Calvinese Foundation for the Makerspace area.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion on that one? Okay, hearing none. Madam Clerk?
Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo.
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky.
Yes, motion passes unanimously. And the third one?
I'll make a motion to approve gifted by Rick and Paula Knight, and that is for the patio door seating area.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second from Councilman Perry. Any discussion on that one? Okay, Madam
Mr.
Clerk? Oh,
Mr. Chair,
sorry.
I just think
Jack,
it's
please.
just important to recognize, how great it is that our community continues to, purchase these naming opportunities, which is really helping fund the library, which is kind of a community center at this point in time. So just want to thank those 3 additional individuals or organizations for their donations.
Absolutely. Thanks for saying that,
3
Jack.
superstars.
Great,
Southington.
great people. And we've had people up here as well, so thanks to all of you guys as well. We've already said that in the past. Madam Clerk?
Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky.
Yes, the motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everybody. Great naming opportunities there. Okay, item C, action on police union contract, Law Enforcement Alliance of Southington, which we have received in our packet.
Mr. Chairman, if I could have the motion state to approve the key provisions of the proposed contract.
The key provisions of the proposed contract is what we're looking
I'll
for.
make a motion to approve with the aforementioned key provisions of the union contract for Southington Police.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Del Santo and a second from Councilman Morrison. Discussion on that. Val, please.
Mr. Chair, so to the town manager, with all the changes in bold, I mean, this is going to be it, right? With
I mean,
what you-
stylistic changes or grammar updates possibly, but these are the only material changes that you are agreeing to. And if you agree to these material changes, then I will have authority over any grammar or stylistic things that
Okay.
are not material to the contract.
Right, but
Yes,
these are the ones that we're voting on tonight?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? Anybody else? Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll on the union contract for the Police and Law Enforcement Alliance of Southington.
Clock.
Yes.
Del Santo.
Yes.
DiPaolo.
Yes.
Diedzik.
Yes.
Morelli.
Yes.
Morrison.
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Chaplinsky.
Yes, motion passes unanimously. Thanks again and good luck. Okay, this is the additional item D, which is action on the litigation for representation at mediation for the town council. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Jack, I had a chance to read your letter over the weekend. One thing that I do agree with you, and, maybe through the town manager, I do think, Councilman Perry's owed an email response by Attorney Gerard. I'm not privy to what exactly happened, but, he is a town councilor. He should be responding to him. In any communication I've had with him, it's been over the phone. I don't know, maybe he prefers the phone, Jack, but he's been responsive to me. Just to give a little different perspective, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, I just want to, kind of like show the other side of it, like maybe why, it should just be Paul. And I'm not even saying that's how I agree right now, but, Attorney Gerard, I've been sitting here for 8 years, and I'm an attorney. I've tried cases. I've dealt with so many different lawyers come through here for so many different issues. You get a kind of a feel from the attorney. We as politicians, we can see the political spin coming quick. That's the beauty of having political experience. I've never seen anything like that from Attorney Gerard or his associate. So I do trust him as an attorney and someone who's been approving litigation, dealing with litigation here in this town for 8 years. The second, and just, you may disagree, but let's think about the other side's point of view. We're trying to resolve this. They might have this is hypothetical. I don't know. They might have embarrassment. They might have to show, personal information. They might have to show financial information that maybe they don't want to show, except with that very, very limited few. I don't know. That might be the case. It might not be the case. And then second, this is, more of a, how you handle litigation as a municipal board. But, if Attorney Gerard says, this is what I want, right, and we take him at his word, where does the micromanagement creep stop, right? So are we going to then say, maybe you should not use this affidavit in support of the summary judgment motion, or maybe we shouldn't depose this person? I just think as a policy, we're elected, and I understand what you're saying in your letter, Jack, and you're like, I want all the information I can, because that's why my constituents put me here. I understand what you're saying. I don't agree with it in full, but I do understand what you're saying. But in this case, Attorney Gerard is pretty clear. For whatever reason, he doesn't want me in the mediation. I could say, I've handled, dozens of meetings. He doesn't want me. He doesn't want Val. He just wants Paul. And whatever the reason is, it's helpful to him, in his opinion, how he wants to solve the case. So I don't want to make this a us versus you. He doesn't want me in the mediation. And those are the reasons why, I'm considering deferring to Attorney Gerard, because at the end of the day, when the judge stands up and says, all rise, put your case on, he's the one who has to try the case, and we can just sit there in the courtroom.
Okay, thanks, Bill. I'm sure others are going to want to talk. Just want to reiterate that let's try to keep it respectful and to the best that we can. Let's focus on the facts, reasonings. Before we go further, Jack, do you want to talk some more? I know you've talked at the beginning of the meeting before I open it up to others.
I'll hear you guys all out, but I'll be very simple on my argument. What is the harm of listening? Just listening, having eyes, so that I could tell people things are happening in the transparent manner, and that I'm being briefed I know exactly what's going on, and not just on a briefing of a Cliff Notes version. You spend hours and hours in mediation, and then you get a small update. It's like, okay, that's kind of the pulse, but, I was elected to do a job. I'm willing to do that job, and there's 9 members of the council. And I could see if multiple or where it was located, this is virtual. And there's no representation from the Democratic side. The town is being sued. We have Democrats, we have Republicans, unaffiliateds in our town, and we're all elected to represent. And I get it that we can't disclose what's being said, but what is the harm? And the more I'm fought on this, the more it makes me not have trust in what's being told. Because when I'm ignored and no oxygen is given to something, kind of makes you suspect something is maybe not right when you're ignored and then you're asked and then a big deal made out of it. Like I was telling Lou Martaccio, when I originally asked, if I was told, yeah, okay, no problem, here's the details, and I had a busy day, I probably wouldn't have went. But it's alarming when I'm fought with this much, resistance, of having another council person. And again, there's no representation from the Democratic side, and there's 6 Republicans, 3 Democrats. So to technically be fair, maybe it should be 3 council people, 2 Republicans and a Democrat for equal. That's kind of where I'm at. What is the harm to listen? Not to participate. It's virtual. You could mute me. I could go sit in the attorney's office if that's it, because you may be concerned I may be recording or whatnot. Give me a path that works for me and works for everyone. There's got to be a way that, if you guys are thinking I'm going to record things or whatnot, I'll go sit in Attorney Gerard's office or, with you, Paul, and Alex. I don't mind, getting creative on this, but the last thing I want is residents, feeling that we're not operating in a transparent fashion.
Thank you. Chris?
So just to be clear and back up Councilman Perry, I know, Paul, you and I spoke this weekend, and I think we're all in agreement that you are the spokesperson for the council. You're the chair, and Jack just mentioned that as well. It's not like we're looking for having one of us be a spokesperson. I think we all agree that you're the spokesperson. Two points. Bill, to your point, one of the first things I said to Paul over when we discussed it is, and I think we agreed, that the attorney should have responded, and this was brought up in the past, and I think we agree that there should have at least been a response back. I think any council member deserves the respect of a response back, even if it's as simple as, I'll get back to you, or looking into it, or see my previous correspondence, just something to at least acknowledge information that's being requested from any council member. Second thing is, again, the request was not to take anything over, because I know Attorney Gerard wants one spokesperson, but just to have someone able to sit and listen to everything that's happening. That's the request, not to do anything but just be a part of the hearings, so that there is representation.
Thank you. And I just want to clarify your comment, Chris, because I've heard it said a couple times before I allow going further. Attorney Gerard told this council on numerous occasions what this strategy was. Who was going to represent in mediation. We were all there.
You,
So I want to just make sure it's clear. The first time that this was heard was not when the email from Attorney Gerard came from, after Councilman Perry sent the email and Attorney Gerard responded. If you recall, Attorney Gerard in that email did say, I've been to 4 council meetings. This and an abundance of things have been discussed on a bunch of occasions in the past. So I just want to clarify, because, we are saying, now with that said, I will agree, an email went out and at the very least, a response. I think we saw the response in the response from Attorney Gerard was that, he doesn't work he's not a Town of Southington employee. So I think he is limited as well on his reach. It's not like, going to our town attorney who's working at, at the request of the council. So to have 9 of us, plus the town attorney and a town manager, can be overwhelming. And so I want to just make sure we respect Attorney Gerard at the dais here as we're talking about this. Clearly, Jack, I agree. There should have been a response. That said, I also understand that Attorney Gerard's super busy, and it is not the first time that Attorney Gerard made the recommendation. So I suspect that the reason he didn't respond right away is because he's discussed this with this council before on a bunch of occasions, on a handful of occasions. All right, let's keep the dialogue going for those who haven't talked yet.
Yeah, just quickly. I mean, this isn't in a vacuum. We've had many executive sessions on this subject, and it is, it is a serious issue. And each time we've had an executive session.
Just be careful about any details. Okay, thank you.
I'll just say this after the executive session. I won't refer to anything in the executive session because we're governed by certain considerations. But each time after an executive session, our attorney whether it's Lou, whether it's Attorney Gerard, has said that obviously people have talked and leaked information. So as much as we can to constrict the actual events, especially when it gets to a state where people are trying to work it out, okay? They're trying to work it out in as non-confrontational as, you don't want a cast of thousands. You want to work the thing out, okay? That's what we want to do. And I'm sure the other side does. So I would rather that we follow, and, Attorney Gerard, in his advice, he's given it to us, which is that only one person from the council should be there for various, reasons. So I would suggest we stick with that. We followed his recommendations in the past, and we should follow them now. Or maybe we should find another attorney. But as town council attorney, Mataccio said, he has an incredible, stellar reputation. I don't think we'll find anybody better in the state. So that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you, Tony. Anybody who hasn't spoken? Val, please.
I just want to, I mean, I know there's a lot of issues here, but I'm just wondering, Lou, has there been anything in the past that you know of that there has been mediation and there's been a representative from both sides of the council that's attended, at least just to observe?
Not that I'm aware of, and certainly not in this litigation. In previous litigation, we've had, I don't think we've ever participated in mediation.
I mean, so usually the attorney that's handling the case provides the guidance, and that's what the council has typically followed.
That's correct. They would provide all guidance, and generally speaking, they do 99% of the talking. It's very rare, and you're probably aware of that as well in your practice. It's very rare that any of the parties actually communicate directly with the mediator. Now, there are occasions, obviously, where there's a factual question. Well, such and such said this. Do you understand it to be accurate? And the answer would have to come from a fact witness, or in this case, a member of the council. But generally speaking, you're pretty much sit and keep silent.
Right, and I mean, that's, I think, a point that I think is important to make, is that, I completely understand as to what Bill is saying, too. These are going to a mediation can be very tricky, and there's information that will be put out, that you're hoping that it's going to settle the case. So I think the difference for me is if you're just observing, that's different, and if that's something that, Lou, you had said it, that we would like this council to be unified on this. I see the difference between, being there to observe versus being there to make any comments, because that's where cases, I mean, I'll just speak from my experience too, that's where cases can blow up. You have too many people in the room, and then things happen, and then it's right back to, it's right back to litigation, and then that's where the cost comes in, because now it's going to go to trial, and discovery will start again, and then it will go to trial. So, Jack, I understand, I think I understand where you're coming from. I kind of see the difference as being an observer versus taking the recommendation of an attorney, maybe one person there in the room. But I do think it's important for us to be unified, too.
Okay. Can you clarify for us, Lou? Have you had any discussions since the email from Attorney Gerard? Has his position changed at all? Is that still his recommendation? Is his recommendation still there?
I spoke with Attorney Gerard today in light of my report that I anticipated giving, and putting it bluntly, his answer to me was that something to the effect of, I'm the attorney, not the party being sued, that I gave my recommendation, but you have to decide, not me, who's participating, who's coming.
Thank you. Anybody else who hasn't spoken?
Mr. Chair.
Please.
I work for the State of Connecticut Judicial Branch for the past 26 years. I'm supervisor in the Family Services Division. I've worked in 4 different courthouses. I work with lawyers and judges every day. Prosecutors, public defenders, ADR is my specialty. I probably negotiated well over 1,000 divorces in my 26 years at the State of Connecticut. In working with attorneys, I know one thing. a defendant or a plaintiff should never go against the advice of counsel. You are toiling in virtual anonymity if you decide to do that. You'd be in big trouble. And I've got to say something. I know Jack had some people come up tonight. I'm getting real tired of hearing that you have to do your job. And to me, that's an intimation that we're not doing our job. You say it every meeting. I'm doing my job. We have to do our job. You know, our job's not getting done. I have a real problem with that, because when you're saying I'm doing my job, you're basically saying that we are not doing our job. So I'm not going to go against the advice of counsel. Jack, you said earlier you're going to file an injunction, which won't make us look good. No. It's not going to make you look good, because when you file your injunction, guess who has to pay to defend that? The taxpayers of the town of Southington will have to pay to fight your injunction, so you can be at this mediation that our attorney, that we're already paying thousands and thousands of dollars for this lawsuit, has already told us. He's given us his directive and his advice, okay? He said he wants one representative. The last thing our attorney needs to do is to mediate his people when he's trying to mediate against the lawsuit. And that's what I don't want to see happen. So, that's it. I'm not going to vote for anything against advice of counsel on this matter.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else who hasn't spoke? Okay,
Mr. Chair?
please, go ahead, Jack.
Thank you. So I quickly took down some notes. Heard that Attorney Gerard's reputation is a stellar reputation, but everybody understands the lack of just an email response, 2-second call. I get everybody's got busy days, but 5 emails over the course of several weeks, I think is enough time for anybody to respond, because again, didn't know if he was on vacation, wasn't around, maybe trying a case. So that's one thing. You know, Councilwoman DiPaolo stated mediation's very tricky, which I would agree with that. And that's why hearing things secondhand or summaries of what's happening, you know, that's where I think it's important, you know, if it's tricky, to maybe observe so that you're not hearing it, or, you know, you're hearing it right out of the source of what's going on. As far as Mr. Del Santo's comments about going against counsel, I asked Alex, the attorney, or our town manager, what we spent in legal fees. We spent almost $300,000 fighting AMR because we were told we could change companies. We got a legal opinion, home run. We could change to hunters, provide better for our residents, no problem. We spent $300,000. Guess what? Legal counsel was wrong. So to say that they're always right is not. And I've asked several times to get even second of opinions and stuff, because like a doctor will encourage you to go get a second opinion. You want to know why? It reduces liability. So I can't speak on behalf of attorneys, but, you know, it's my job, you know, in our job to do what we think is right. So getting back to Mr. Del Santo's comments of that, I'm insinuating he's not doing, if you have a guilty conscience, that's on you. I never once said you didn't do your job. I never once told anybody on this dais you guys aren't doing your job. I'm just stating that I'm trying to do my job. So don't take it personal. I'm just trying to do a job that I feel I was elected to do when I promised people that I would do. So, you know, the chair of the council is 1 of 9. I don't think anybody on this dais has the authority to limit or make you know, who can't go. And I'd hate to do an injunction, or, you know, I spoke to my legal counsel, injunction, amicus brief, or a writ of mandamus. So I had to look up what some of those are to understand what is happening here. And yes, this is a private mediation. But guess who has the ultimate say? The judge. The town of Southington is being sued. And I am one of 9 council members that is representing our residents. So, like I stated earlier, there's the town of East Haven, over $11 million to taxpayers. What would happen is, you know, same thing happens to Southington, that we pay all this, our bond rating and all that would change too. So that's why I think it's very important to do my due diligence today, so that if we get down the rabbit hole and something happens, I could say, hey, you guys, I'm sorry this happened, but, I did everything that I can. It wasn't that I wasn't, willing to try or give up time from work to do it. I want the ones that empowered me to represent them feel like I'm doing the job. And us three Democrats over here, we don't have anybody there, and I think it's important that, there's minority representation in state statutes that talk about that. I do not think if this goes in front of a judge that they're going to state that my claim or my ask is unwarranted.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, thanks, everybody. A couple just small things. Just as a reminder, first of all, minority representation, typically would be in if we had a quorum here. This is a private discussion. This is a private discussion, and we are represented by our attorney and our insurance company. The one concern I would have is, what is our liability if we go against our attorney's advice and something goes wrong? If the blame game occurs as a result of this, we have an insurance carrier that's an additional stakeholder in this that has entrusted this case to Attorney Gerard. And so I think we have to consider that as well in the actions that we take here tonight. So with that, Val.
Sorry. But just briefly, in his letter, he did say that he is putting it back.
Absolutely. That's why we're going to call the roll. So why don't we have a motion now on either to take Attorney Gerard's to have, one person represent as he has suggested, or something else? Anybody?
I'll make.
Let's give the minority representation an opportunity first.
For the sake of
Is
clarity,
there-
if you could, the motion is going to be made, I assume says one party and that party being you, just so there's no miscommunication.
I'd like to hear from the minority team if they would like to make a recommendation.
So, again, what the confusion is, what was discussed earlier was action on who is the spokesperson for the council. I don't want to
No, I don't want to be the spokesperson. I just want to
That
observe.
was not the request. I think all 9 of us are united that you are the person that speaks on behalf of the council. And obviously, no decisions are made. It comes back to the full 9 council members, right? So I don't think there's any dispute there. So this motion is flawed almost because we already know.
Well, there's no motion yet. You can make whatever motion you
With
want.
the
Chris.
suggestion of the motion.
Yeah, make whatever motion you want. The floor is yours to make a motion. Jack, would you
Can I
like to make a motion?
suggestion? If I may?
Please, go ahead.
I'm good.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we, as a council, agree that both you and Councilor Perry can be present at the mediation. Councilor Perry will simply observe.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that? We've had quite a bit. Anybody want to discuss? Val, you were the motion maker. Any other discussion?
No, I just, as I said, I'm just trying to, I keep going back to our town attorney. I just feel like we need to be unified on this. I understand that we have had numerous executive sessions. I feel comfortable that Attorney Gerard is doing a good job. I feel comfortable that he's providing information. I also understand Councilor Perry in that he would like to be there. And I don't think that's out of the realm. So if it's something that can keep us united on this litigation so that the litigation the mediation hopefully can resolve everything or the litigation moves forward.
Jen, please.
I have just 2 things to point out, I guess, prior to the vote. I think it was Councilman Perry that had spoken to the press it was either the latter part of last year, as this was being litigated. I also, which puts the litigation and the town at risk. I also think it was Councilor Perry who was correct me if I'm wrong, speaking to the news about the fireman Mayday without having all of the facts present prior to that. And I think those are two just clarification points to think about when making this vote.
Mr. Chair?
Please, go ahead, Jack.
So as far as the news, I asked for a special meeting to be held by the council. I sent it to the council chair. I was ignored. So when the news saw that, they reached out. They told me they couldn't get a hold of the town manager, and they couldn't get a hold of anybody. I feel, my feelings, not Mr. Del Santo, it's not directed towards you. I feel it's a job that we were elected to do. I'm not going to run away from my request that I asked for to have a special meeting so I could get the facts of everything that was going on. That's what I asked for. And to talk about the firefighter issue, I still am waiting on Attorney Matney to look into the illegal executive sessions that occurred that I feel kind of helped bring us to that issue.
Thank you, Jack. Anybody else? Okay, so we have a motion by Councilwoman DePaulo and a second by Councilman Palmieri. Please call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Clock,
No.
Del Santo,
I'm sorry, no.
DiPaolo,
Yes.
Dietzick,
No.
Morelli,
No.
Morrison,
No.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky.
No, the motion fails 3-6. The floor is still open for a motion. Okay, any others? Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion to accept Attorney Gerard's recommendation to send one representative to,
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question to the town attorney, just a point of order?
please?
We have his direction. Does the motion need to be heard? I mean, a motion was heard, it failed, to have additional people there. We are now going for the advice of council, that one representative be there. Do you-
Probably not. You're,
With all due respect,
I don't know.
I'd like to see this council make a directive.
Additionally, Mr. Chairman, I was asked to address this issue by Mr. Perry. I don't know what I'm supposed to do if the
We need to
council
make a
doesn't give me
decision.
direction.
Somebody
So
needs to make a
I believe we
motion.
both need, Mr. Perry and I both need
Tony, if you want to
direction.
make him
Oh,
mad,
me, I get done. You go.
Well, I got, let's talk about that. So what's, Alex, as far as, you need direction, if the council doesn't change where we're currently at or makes a motion that it'll continue that way, I don't think there's any, the town of Southington's being sued, right? We're being listed. All 9 of us represent the town of Southington. So fairly, 1/9 of each is being sued, and we're representing our constituents. So I don't know if if it even will be bearing to state that, you're preventing, others. I don't think we have that authority. I think that's an authority of a judge.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I just don't know, I'm kind of at a standstill. I don't know what,
I think you're saying if we don't make a decision
I
tonight.
don't know what to do.
Right.
Let
I
me
have
make
no
a motion.
I
idea.
don't, see, I agree.
Go ahead, make a motion, Mike.
I
don't
agree
wanna
with
get
Mike
between
that you don't,
anybody.
I
Like I
don't know that
said,
you need a motion.
I work with
I mean,
lawyers, I'm not a lawyer, so I want to make sure that we're safe on this. I'll make a motion to approve the town council chairperson as our lone designee for upcoming mediation sessions based on the advice of outside counsel represented the town of Southington in Sign Pro versus the town of Southington.
Any observers?
No.
Okay. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Let's open it up for discussion. To the person who made the motion first. Any other comments?
No, I think I've said my piece.
Okay. Anybody else? Bill?
I mean, if you're watching from the audience, or it literally is like 50.9 versus, I mean, it's so close. If Attorney Gerard didn't say this is what he wanted, I would have no problem with someone observing. But it's what the attorney said. I don't want to sit here and second guess the attorney, because what if something happens and then the parties walk out in the mediation and it was against the advice of counsel, and now we have to go straight to dispositive motions? If it wasn't for that, I would have supported the other motion, but I'm gonna support the motion not based on advice of counsel.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Anybody else? No?
So I just want to be clear, the motion had the language for no observer.
Right, well, I'll amend it if you want me to say it.
Go ahead.
I mean, we're going on the advice of counsel. The lone representative will be the chair of the town council with no observers.
Who seconded?
I forgot
I
who
did.
seconded.
Tony did. Will you approve the amending?
Yes, yes. Cool.
So we have a motion and an updated motion and an updated second.
I've just got
Tony.
one question for town manager. Is this solves your problem, town manager?
Just makes you.
I don't know if it solves a problem, but I know what the town council has voted me to do.
But I don't want you to feel like you're caught between, you know.
I don't
I
like.
think this
don't
provides
like
clarity.
being-
You want
I
clarity.
don't like being in the
Okay.
position of two
I-
sides
okay,
telling
understood.
me to do the different things, but if I have a public vote,
So clarity.
I'm
clear.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
follow
Got it.
the
Well, I think-
majority.
Yeah, I think
Go ahead, Mike.
Councilman Perry made it clear what he's, and it's his right. He can fight this
absolutely.
tooth and nail. That's his
Absolutely.
right as a town councilor.
Free council.
Anybody
Resident
else?
of this town, he can, whatever he said he's going to do it, and he can do it.
Fair. Anybody else want to, before we call the roll? Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll. The motion is Mr. Del Santos.
Correct. Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo.
Yes.
DiPaolo,
No?
Dietzick,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Morrison,
No, yes, I mean,
Palmieri,
No.
just,
Perry,
No.
Chaplinsky.
Yes, motion passes 6-3. Thanks for the discussion, everybody. I appreciate for the most part, everybody trying to keep it cordial. All right, let's move on to new business. Item A, tax refunds.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the tax refunds that are presented in our packets.
Thanks, Jack.
Second.
Second from Mr. Dietzick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Chris, we got appointments. Item B, we have, which is item 1B, B1, I should say, Senior Citizens Commission, 3 members, 3-year term expiring March 2028. These are town council approved appointments. There's 2 Republicans, Kimberly Roy and Deborah Durbin, which we plan to reappoint on the Democrat side.
And we confirmed with our side, we intend to reappoint Jessica Arsenal.
Jessica Arsenal. Okay, so we have 3 people. I'm going to ask for somebody to make a motion to approve all 3, Kimberly Roy, Deborah Durbin, and Jessica Arsenal to be reappointed to the Senior Citizen Commission.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and item 10. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion to adjourn. Oh,
No, go ahead,
follow
Mike.
me.
Thank you, Val. And you have a second from Mike?
Sure.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thanks, everybody. Good night.